Today we're going to cover making ourselves useful during this season, and at the same time, sharing, what we can, how we deal during such situation. So Melvyn will be touching on the food option during this time and how to modify their dietary approaches. Then I'll be talking about maintaining and building muscles during this period without a gym. And then lastly, Alan, you'll be speaking of on what really is necessary for physique sculpting. Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Today we're going to cover making ourselves useful during this season, and at the same time, sharing, what we can, how we deal during such situation. So Melvyn will be touching on the food option during this time and how to modify their dietary approaches. Then I'll be talking about maintaining and building muscles during this period without a gym. And then lastly, Ella, you'll be speaking of on what really is necessary for physique sculpting. Is that right?
Something.
So especially so we get we'll go to the nutrition part first, right? So especially during this period of time, generally people would have lesser outdoor activities because they are majority of the time indoors for most. I mean, they may do a workout, but then majority it's still indoors sitting down. So your energy output is relatively low. So what people can do, or what you can do at this point of time, is to decrease your decrease your food intake on certain days. So eat less, move less. And then also on the days where you suddenly find that you want to eat, you can keep your ice cream and for the weekend. So you eat less, move less, and then you have amount of calories to put in on the weekends. Yeah. So there's wholesale ice cream. So what you can do is, for example, you have foods that are most likely, say you can kind of use it like bodybuilding-ish foods, you have steamed chicken, steamed stir-fried vegetables, things like that, which makes you have lesser calorie intake, and then you can implement the higher calorie intake on the weekends. So let's say if you use calories as a value, let's say if you have a caloric value deficit of, let's say 250 or 200 a day, if by 3 days it gives you 600, you can have some ice cream on the weekends. I mean, that's an example of how you can play around with the calories. Some other options things to do is to these are more diet foods, are they have the sugar-free jellies, Jello. Those are some options that you can be used. There's the shirataki noodles, things like that. Things that can be used are lesser calories compared to its options. Or some people use cauliflower mash as a mashed potato example. You can even use cauliflower mash as for pizza. So back to that. Yeah. So options like that. A lot more people even low fat. Sorry, not low fat. Dark chocolate as an example compared to the milk chocolate and other versions. So things like that can be. So the options are, let's say, dark chocolate, shirataki noodles, sugar-free Jello. Some of the ice creams also can have the low-fat version, which is more of the rice dream. Options like that can be used as your kind of your weekend treats, and things that can help you fill up your stomach, especially now will be a lot of the high water content foods. So watermelon. Has anybody tried eating 500 grams of watermelon at one go?
Try what?
Not eating 500 grams of watermelon at one go. Not anymore. During the dieting phase for my WMPF. Yeah. Never gonna do that again. Yeah.
You eat 500 grams of watermelon at one go, you will sit down and you'll be like, I don't want to move for quite a bit. So that helps in the dieting. I tried it a few times, but every time why did I do this again? So things like that. I mean, there are some fruits that are good options also besides the berries. Some fruits are like watermelon. I mean, people will say, oh, high sugar content, high fructose. But like I said, if it helps you get through sugar cravings or anything like that, I say don't worry about it. You have your diet sodas as an option too, compared to the full sugar version. I used to drink about 6 liters of Coke a day, like the full sugar version. So yeah, understand like going to the diet version saves you a lot of calories from that. That's kind of about it. Like anyone else has things to add?
Right. So you have touched on the food option and also like how you can actually modify the dietary approaches, right? Like you say that you can modify it in the way that you create a slight deficit, or maybe Monday to Friday, that you can have a treat at the end, right? So let's say, right, if someone were to ask you, say, okay, Melvyn, I just want my ice cream every day, then you will probably recommend him, okay, then go for that, a lower calorie version of it, so you can still have a little bit of that throughout the day, and to just okay, I'll just eat everything whatever I see, and then not stay on track at all. Is that roughly this the idea that I get from your approaches for people? Is that somewhat right?
I mean, at this moment in time, there'll probably be 3 approaches you can take. You can do that. Some do intermittent fasting, so they skip breakfast and have lunch and dinner. So skipping breakfast can give them a number of calories they can use to offset the ice cream. And then if they eat 1 meal a day, they have much more calories to play around. And then, but the main goal of all the dietary approaches, especially now, I think, is just to be at maintenance. Like if you're not after any fat loss goals or just for health and things like that, being at calorie maintenance. If you're not bothered with trying to weigh your food or count calories, just looking at seeing if your weight stays the same. If you just weigh yourself every few days, like it will fluctuate, but like generally in the week it stays the same, then you're kind of at a calorie maintenance. And just being able to kind of just like write down what you've been eating helps give you an idea of potentially like what your calories may be at.
All right, cool. Alan, anything?
I guess for the meantime, since we are on circuit breaker, so it wouldn't really be a bodybuilding phase. Not much of a muscle breakdown kind of stuff. So macronutrients wouldn't be too much of an importance at this point. As long as you hit your calorie intake, you should be able to sustain in terms of energy. But I think when it comes back to the normal daily routine where your muscles break down, and then you need to repair, and then you need to store your glycogen stores and all that kind of stuff, and that's where the macronutrients probably would be of a higher importance. But as for now, since it's only on maintenance or energy levels, I think what he said is really correct. Yeah, just to follow all those general guidelines for now, not to be so stressed up about everything. You already got enough to be stressed about already through this 1 month or 4 weeks. I think this is more than enough to think about already.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah, and that's if the extension doesn't happen.
Oh no, please no. They only give me some sort of relief in the rental for 1 month. Oh my god. Hopefully not any more than that.
Right.
This circuit breaker.
At least can breathe a little bit, right? But I'm sure we can still make ourselves, like say, we can still reach out to people and help them during this time. That's why we're here doing this podcast to share our struggles and what we can do to overcome during such phases. Yeah. So that you're done, Melvyn?
Yep.
Good. Okay, so basically my turn now. So I'll be talking on like maintaining and building muscles during this period where the gyms are all closed. You can't lift your weight unless you have a gym setup at home. So very good, keep it up, okay? Let me talk a little bit about that first, okay? So for individual who has the gym setup at home, great. If you have enough weight plates, you can still do the movement at home, great. Just don't go deadlift around and then have a neighbor complaining, at your door and say that, hey, you know what, don't drop the bar too heavy and stuff like that. So because I can tell, because just yesterday I was watching the TV program with my family, and someone at a higher level was just screaming and shouting. It was obviously a quarrel with a couple, and they're just shouting across, and I think that people are probably maybe too stressed up during this period, so tensions are high, and then you just put everyone together, they don't have their own space, maybe such thing might happen. So yeah, train safe, be considerate, just train, even share on social media, that's great. If you're just going to keep a progression, good, just have a logbook and just progress from there, right? Those are for people who are able to maintain the training frequency, even at home, right? So what I really want to touch on is for people who, like me, I'm not going to the gym right now. So how am I able to maintain my muscle mass or build muscles during this period of time? Before I start this, right, I want to say, it's okay to stop for now. Okay, your training, your nutrition is fine. Okay, you can stop for a period of time and then get back to it, right, when this circuit breaker is over. Meanwhile, do what you can. Okay, if you have just your body weight, okay, body weight squats, push up will work fine, it will work for you. Okay, if you have some I don't know, some dumbbells, some bands, great, do something with it. Okay, make yourself useful and then just do what you have. Okay, because the thing is this, if you want to maintain optimum from what you are doing before this circuit breaker, you're going to be very, very disappointed because, right, you are not able to keep up with the volume, okay, or the loads that you use, or some of the movement you have to modify. So if you want to keep holding on to that and you don't have the equipment at home, right, you will see some negative results. You probably will lose some strength. You're probably, you cannot stick to your normal routine. You feel upset about it, but it is okay. During such time, we need to adjust to whatever we have. Like I saw Alan doing the push-up, he's doing like a giant set on the chest using different variation. That's great. That is what we should be doing, and what we can actually help to actually, send our message, maybe guide, our clients through this platform, what you can do during times like this. So just to let everyone understand that muscle actually don't understand what kind of movement you are doing. Be it you are doing like a one-arm squat or like you're doing I don't know, a marathon. Stress, the body just perceives the stress as in stress. It don't know what it doesn't know what kind of exercise that you're doing. So with that said, right, based on research done by Schoenfeld and colleague, strength and hypertrophy adaptation between low and high load resistance, what they found is that during the maximum strength benefit, right, it can be obtained using heavy loads, but for hypertrophy, right, it can equally achieve, I quote, equally achieve across a spectrum of loading ranges, which means anywhere from 1 rep to 30 reps or even more, you can induce hypertrophy, right? So with that said, right, all we got to do is just maybe increase our training volume and intensity, right? Maybe, you used to do a firearm squat, but right now, you don't have the squat rack available to you. So what you do is that you can actually change the exercise from a bilateral stance squat. Maybe you can change it to a Bulgarian split squats. Maybe you can change it to a single leg squats, and add some intensity, maybe add some tempo, like what Alan had done. He can do a giant set. He can add bands. Okay, you can do pauses in between exercise to make the intensity go up. You can increase the difficulty of the exercise to create the tension in the muscle, which create maybe hypertrophy adaptation, or at best, right, it helps to maintain your muscle mass during this period of time. So you can actually work towards that by increasing the intensity, by changing maybe the range of motion of the exercise. You can do advanced technique like giant set, superset. You can change the exercise itself to a more challenging exercise to achieve that results, right? So that is that. And then I got another, this is from Stronger by Science. I think this is good. I quote, it said that if you're currently making progress on a low frequency training program, you don't have to change anything. Okay, but when you are hitting a plateau, then you have to increase maybe your training frequency. So again, right, training, we're not looking at just one training session. We look at it on a whole spectrum, right? So you look at where you came from. If you are not like lifting 3 times a week, don't go and do 3 times a week, okay? Because you might accumulate too much fatigue too quickly. So you can look at what is your training frequency before, and then just start off from there. If you're training 4 times, 5 times, great. Train, continue 4 times, 5 times, right? And then take breaks when you need to. But if you're starting out, let's say you don't train necessarily because of this circuit breaker. You know, you go online, you find some program, and you start training every single day, you're going to run into some, I don't know, injuries, you know, fatigue point, or you're going to hit the plateau really fast because you just acclimate too much too soon, right? Because remember, adaptation, right, also needs to be considered with the recovery. If you are not able to recover from the training stress, you're not able to actually develop any adaptation. You will go downhill, actually, right? So this is what I have to say. Do what you can during this period of time, okay? Something's better than nothing. If you want to maintain your muscle mass, okay, I think I'll recommend maybe 2 to 3 times. There'll be a good frequency to aim for, as that's a good starting point. But let's say if you have not done any training before, maybe once a week is good as well. If you're really deconditioned, okay, and you just recover from maybe illness or something, right? Making yourself, active, taking the stairs, okay, maybe do some housework, get yourself moving all the time. Maybe set some timer in front of your desktop, after your work every maybe 10 minutes, do a back stretch, okay? Or you can loan some foam roll from Alan. Alan will be happy to loan you his foam roll, right? And you start rolling at home. Okay, joke aside. So basically, you need to understand the base, like where you come from, and from there that will be your starting point. And then from there you progress from it. Maybe add a little bit more sets, a little more rep, increase the frequency, okay? And then monitor how well you recover. If you're still sore, don't go training again. Maybe take another half a day and rest and monitor and see how it goes. Okay, so yeah, that's all I got to say for my part. Any questions?
No, I think like some and just another training method that people can add in, especially this time, if they do have some form of weights, is escalating density training. So EDT. So you pick like if you have some weights, then you can pick a weight that, let's say for your 10 rep max, and you do 5. You do so you're pairing exercise, and you're doing let's say a chest and legs. You're doing 5 reps each for a full 20 minutes. 5 reps, 5 reps, 5 reps, 5 reps. So you want to record how many reps you do. So ideally, the goal is once you can reach 60 reps and each and above, you can increase the weight. So just something that people can use is by this guy called Charles Daly. It came around in 2002, escalating density training.
Yeah, probably I should try it, give it a go, see how it goes. Cool. So are we good? Alan, you want to present your topic already? Yeah?
Topic would be physique sculpting. So when it comes to physique sculpting, then we have to take into consideration the topic of periodization. Because in physique sculpting, if you're rushing it, you will not get the ideal muscle maturity or development. If let's say someone were to just focus only on endurance training, then so let's get back, let's rewind a little bit. We have 3 types of muscle fibers, right? We have endurance, we have strength, and we have power. Some people are predominantly endurance muscle fiber in their limbs, so their legs are not as thick. Some would be on their torso or the chest or something like that. Or they find it very hard to develop chest. So it also relies on your type of training. So if you were to train your dominant muscles well, you would see a better sort of development. So let's try to get it down to something common amongst all of us. We have more endurance muscles on our shoulders, isn't it, compared to strength? So if you were to just focus only on power and on strength, then the muscle development is going to be so much slower as compared to if you were to load it with a heavier weight, but make sure that you do endurance training for it. It's going to burn like crazy, but the development is going to be so much more. When we talk about endurance training, we're probably going to talk about maybe 20, 30 repetitions and quite a few sets with less rest. So The thing about endurance also is time under tension. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you got to do about 20, 30 repetitions, because if you were to talk about time under tension, as long as you're not stopping the repetition, let's say if I were to do 20 seconds up and then 20 seconds down without stopping all the time, right? Let's say, all right, and then we were to do 20 repetitions, but 1 second up, 1 second down like that. Time under tension makes it work such that your muscles go through the same sort of stress. So if we were to work on that principle, we will be able to train a little bit better during this period of time when we don't have that much weights. Because sometimes if you also to take into consideration volume, if you were to do a 1 rep max 100%, right? Then you would also have the same principle that 75% times 10 repetitions will be the same thing, right? And then you were to go down a little bit more, maybe 50% will be maybe your 20 rep max. So if you use the kind of volume principle, you should be able to train strength at the same time still. Then again, if you were to try to make the weights even lighter because you don't have resources, let's say, at home, then you have to remember the principle that power is about 60% of your strength. So as long as you are using power endurance, so you're not stopping that much, then you can actually use far less weights than you already are accessible to. So someone that says, oh, I only got a water bottle, I can't do that much. But if you were to really play around the techniques, play around the volume, you can sculpt your body. So that being said, if you were to go back into the idea of periodization, there will be a period where you do general strength training. So every trainer would have a program for their clients on periodization to make sure that they gradually sculpt their body into perfection. So after the general strength training portion, I'm pretty sure most of them have already gotten the training from guys on how to do a push-up, how to do a shoulder press, how to do lateral raises. Once they're done with that, their body is accustomed and adapted to all the exercises. They can start working on maybe hypertrophy instead. And if let's say they are now currently in that phase, they don't have to necessarily take a very heavy weight. Time under tension and tempo and volume can be used to adjust it into hypertrophy. If you're doing strength, then because of the lack of weights, you have to go even slower or go for higher repetitions or so on and so forth. So you have to do your own adjustments in terms of tempo, volume, and repetitions. Yeah, I think I said that in volume. Yeah. So with that also, we have to take note that strength-wise, it will not be too much of an improvement because the loading is not that high. I will have a confession to make to all of you. I was in detention barracks for 3 years and 3 months because I was a Christian of a certain denomination. And in my stay in detention barracks, without leaving there, the inmates, they grew. And what did they have? A meat portion for dinner and lunch and 1 egg for breakfast. And that's all they had. So I knew from there, they didn't need much to grow. And that's how I got my nickname Sapao Alan. Because I was doing 200 pull-ups and 200 push-ups before each meal. And working on tempo, working on repetitions, the body can grow, right? But you need to make sure that you have your micronutrients. You need to have your protein, you need to have your carbohydrates, all right? And then you need, I find that the ace is finding when to eat. Because if let's say you have just worked out, your heart is racing, you know, your body is burning and then your metabolism is up. That point of time when you eat your protein, it is actually more beneficial. If you're talking about someone that does a normal strength training and then their heart rate goes down and all that, even if they had that meal half an hour after exercise, it wouldn't make a difference. Their metabolism isn't that spiked up. So that's the reason why every small detail counts. How fast, how intense, your tempo, when you eat, all this plays a part in sculpting your body. And if you prioritize yourself, after general strength training, you do hypertrophy, you can always work on endurance and core. So each of these programs will take you about 4 weeks to a month, and then you change. So right now, at this very period of time when we can't really have access to too much, we can always work on hypertrophy. And you'll still be part of a program. You will not lose out at all. Your muscles will still grow. So we don't have to worry about how our body is being sculpted at this point of time. It will continuously progress as long as you're diligent with your training. There's no excuses at all. Back then I was in a cell. All I had was a towel. I had access to the laundry room. So I had a metal bar that I put onto the cabinets and I did my pull-ups. I had soap bottles, each was 5 kilos. I put a bamboo stick, 6 bottles, that is 30 kilos. Or each arm will be taking 15 kilos. You're just gonna do GVT, general volume, German volume training. So your arms also get a good burnout after that. It all depends on how you train, the tempo, the style of training, and how you put yourself in the compromising position so that your body has to adapt. And when your body is not adapted to something, it will have to grow. Grow in endurance, grow in strength, grow in muscle fibers, whatever it is. You have 3 different types of muscle fibers. You can grow any one of them. So yeah, that's a little bit of my history and a little bit more of knowledge on body sculpting.
I think that's valuable because people always think that yeah, you got to go to the gym and hit it, right? And then also because of the modern society that we're living in now, we go to the gym, we go to a yoga studio, we go to spin classes, and we thought that that is a place to go, right? But think about it, right? If you have nothing and you know, like you experiment yourself, right, in the cell, it's amazing. You know, you use what you can, you apply the principle, you see results. You know. And that's important because no one would do that. Put someone right in this kind of camps, you know, and just okay, you monitor. You know, it is because of your experience and you know what you have done. You collectively have this build on this observation, and you see results. And that's what we know. Is like, yeah, you know, in terms of this, right, is very useful, right? Without a gym, you can still stick to your goals if you have to. Just apply the principle, and then you can see result. If not result, at best, you can still maintain the physique, right? Of course, I think you make a good point as well. It's like right now, maybe physique sculpting for maybe the physique athlete or bodybuilding might not be too applicable because you know we are all uncertain during this period of time, and I can also feel quite quite sad for the athletes, right, that are actually preparing for the upcoming competition, but you know the show has to be cancelled. You know, but yeah, it also kind of reveal to me and really test the athlete and say that and see that you know if they're really in this for long term or just for the glory and trophy. You know, like you say, yeah, make yourself useful, you know, in the cell, and you did training, you see your friends, you adapt, you make some, you know, equipment of your own. That is not. That's not something external to me. That is something that's internal. You do it because you want to do it, right? And the motivation actually comes from inside out. And yeah, that's valuable information over there, Alan. That's good. Thank you.
Well, speaking about lockup, because I was also allocated to the process room to process people coming in and out. As a detainee, I was also instructed to help out over there. You will take note that newbies that are locked up for 1 week are the ones that cry the most. even those that are there only for 4 days, suddenly become very religious, asking for their Bibles, asking for their parent visits and all that. The first few days are always the worst for anyone that is locked up. The second week is when a lot of those higher ranking people go crazy. They start shouting and asking for privileges. The third week is when people adapt, and then the fourth week everyone's quiet. The long-term detainees are the ones that take life as it is. It's as if you're born in that area and you're just living with it. Just like how, maybe the Africans, they are just like, this is life. What are you talking about? This is how it has always been throughout my life. And then they are on the streets, So when you are able to accept fate as it is, there's nothing to it. It's only when you're feeling like you're deprived, like I miss my mom, I miss my Bible, I miss everything. Suddenly everything becomes so precious. When you pass them a Bible, it's like, oh, I got a book with me. You pass them a soap bar, they're like, oh, I got a soap bar. Because usually for the 1 week entries, you only got a small soap bar that's this big and this thin. But once you wash yourself and it actually drops into the toilet bowl, that's it. You don't have any soap for 1 week. Then you give them a bigger soap bar if they're there for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they'll be like, oh, this is Bible. This is really precious, So that's the same principle that is happening when people are having their dumbbells and all that. And then when they come out of it, they realize that, oh, I'm going to get the best soap ever. And then they're like, oh, actually, I don't have to. Life is as per normal now. So back then when I came out, whoa, everything was precious. When someone gave me a water bottle, I'm like, oh, water bottle. Because I didn't have one there, you see. So I wanted to get the best water bottle, like, oh. So same thing now, everybody wants the best weights in the house, the best rubber bands and all that kind of stuff. All they have to do is wait out a little bit. Then they will find how foolish they are. It's all very simple. Just adaptation. For the muscles, for the mind, everything just needs to get stronger. Once you get over it for the first 3 weeks, that's it. Everything will be normal.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a very good point that you brought it up, because it tells me one thing: why you're an entrepreneur and why you have such willpower and attitude towards your business, and not giving up. Because from what you say, you came from a hard background, right? And then another thing that you brought up is like adaptation, right? First week you go in there, you're shouting crazy, you got all your privileges taken away, and you start to, what am I going to do with just this amount of soap, right? Then eventually you accept what it is. I think psychologically is good, because you teach you how to really accept things as it is. Sometimes we can't control things that are outside of our our ability to control. So it's actually better to accept and just see what we can do to adjust and then move on from there, right? So yeah, very good. And we are very glad to have you on board, because this is some valuable information that you're sharing with us, and I think hopefully this can reach out to more people out there, maybe in a similar situation like you, or better or worse, I don't know. If this thing can reach out to them and help them in any ways, yeah, that'd be great.